Welcome to a video from multiband.com. This is a multi-poly tutorial, and this I'm going to look at some of the built-in effects on the multi-poly. I think they sound really good, and I'm going to show you what's in there and how you can use them. So I'll be using the combination of the hardware and the editor for this. And as you heard in this beginning sound at the beginning, that's a nice sort of lead guitar type sound, and I've used some of the effects on there. So on the multi-poly, you've got 4 layers, so with 4 oscillators, and you can produce some rich, complex sounds. Each layer has its own effects, and so I'm going to show you where the effects, what they sound like, where they are, and how you can modify them then, because they're slightly different to the sort of the other modifications that you can do on the oscillator levels. So 3 of them, the pre-effects, mod effects, delay, are at layer level, which means they can have multiple ones of these on the different layers. The 4th one is a master reverb with an individual send to each one, so there's 1 reverb, but you can send the 4 layers to that, and there's a master EQ as well. So if I just turn everything off on my guitar lead sound here, you can hear that MS-20 guitar lead sound. So the pre-effects, let's put that here, you can see here are all the pre-effects. So you've got a compressor, EQ, decimator, graphic EQ, guitar amp, modern compressor, ceramic EQ, red compressor, ring modulator, tremolo, wave shaper, and vintage distortion. So let's take a look at some of those. So this is one I tend to use most of mine, is a modern compressor. So this is a stereo compressor. You won't hear too much difference on it. It just sort of compresses it, so I always find it fixing best with the mix. So I use that one for just a bit basic compression. I tend to use that one as the default if I'm not using one of the other effects. There are different types of compressors on here as well. So say the red compressor, which is a mono one modeled on a compression pedal. You can hear that, a different one there, especially if I go into poly mode. So here's without it. You can hear that. So it's metal after a pedal. And in fact, there's just that one preset on there. There are some other compressions on there as well. If we go and look on here, you can see here's the preset. So we've just got a few. I use the modern one most of the time. I'll show you how you can do some modifications on these when we look at some of the others in a minute. Then we've got some EQing, so you can do some EQ with some presets as well there. So you can have a strong mid. Okay, so that's sort of radio mix. So again, I tend not to play those too much. I like the master one, but they are handy to have in there. Here's where we get a bit more fun, decimator. So you hear, there's without it. You can hear straight away what it does, but it gives you that sort of set sort of 12-bit sample sound, and you can see it's actually called a 12-bit decimator. So I can increase the sample rate, so you can hear it's less of an effect, and as I come down you get more decimated. Which you can have an LFO on that as well. And then you've got some presets, so I think there's an 8-bit one as well. It's quite handy for sort of creating that vintage sound as well. What else have we got? Guitar amp. This is one I do use quite a bit. You heard. So you've got some different modelled guitar amps on there. The Vox. You see, you've got tons of them. We've got a Vox guitar. We've got UK. I'm guessing that's a Marshall. So you can hear So you can straight away, you can hear proper distortions on there. Like a bit lower. And maybe, let's go. So there's lots to play with on there, and these are just presets because all of these, including the ones I've just already looked at, if you go to edit, these are the sort of the common ones, but common edits. But if you go to edit, you've got full control over these as well. So I've actually should have showed you perhaps on the EQ there, you've got the multiband one. On the decimator there, you've got sample and high damping and frequency and so on. So when you select it like that without the edit button selected, you sort of get the common ones that you can adjust, like there's a drive. But then if you go to edit, you can see you've got not just the drive, you've got all the values on there. Incidentally, you notice some of these ones have got orange because they're mapped to the pre-FX edit 1. So we can, which is these on here. So that's how they're mapped. Incidentally, when I'm looking at these, if we go over to the keyboard, do it from the keyboard, you can go to pre-FX there. You can see I've got exactly the same as I've been looking at on the screen, and you can go through all the parameters on there as well. So I can choose a different amp model there. So take that guitar lead one, and so on. So it's just as easy to pick them up on there. Now, something you might want to do is mod them from somewhere else, maybe the chaos, maybe you like that distortion. So let's just make this will do for it. So maybe that wet dry you want to map, you can still map that to the controllers. You'll notice you can't modify, there's less things to modify them with. So if you go to generators, you'll see you've only got this list, which are the mod processors, tempo, and the different mod processors. I've done a separate video on mod processors. Check that out. That's where you can modify the values coming from something, change it to something else. So you can combine pitch with maybe the mod wheel with a chaos pad, or you can combine an LFO with something else. But because these are at the program level, these are all access program level, so you couldn't use an envelope, say, to do this, because the envelopes are down at the oscillator level. So, but I could choose the chaos. Let's just put it as chaos Y for now. Because and the reason I can do that is because the chaos is at the upper levels, so that's possible to that. So, and all these you can modify. Let's say you've got a lot of different guitar amps on here to choose from, which I really like. Some of them are really useful as well. So you've got more EQs on there, and you can. So we've looked at EQs, ring modulation. Again, you could map that. Notice, by the way, when I had that chaos set up now, that chaos doesn't do anything now because I've changed it to a different type of effect. So if I wanted to add that, then I can just go back and put it, let's say I do it on the chaos Y for now. You can see how I'm controlling that one. So you've got a nice ring modulation, and there's some presets on there as well. You've got a tremolo, got nice for guitar sounds. And that speed as well, I can map that to the mob controls. Probably sound nice with a sort of a rich string sound. So here I've got some chorus strings, send that to the tremolo. Speed, I'll map that one to chaos. Chaos that way. And so on. So actually, let's mod that one with the Y value as well, so we can go really crazy with it. Like that. A wave shaper, so we've got wave shaper oscillators. I've done a separate video on that one, but we can actually shape the post synthesis engine, so all four four oscillators. We got a bit of shaping on them. So turn it off. Let's turn the other effects off as well, just so you hear that effect on there. Here's a whole lot of parameters you can choose from. So you can hear that wave shaper. It's squishing the wave. I don't know if I can show you. So it's sort of kind of squishing the wave up. So it's quite an interesting one. And vintage distortion, which is great for guitar sounds as well. Also good for synth as well. You can hear that distortion on there. Probably sounds quite with synth lead sounds. So I'd say all these, I've got different options. You've got more details in the editing there. You can see, you can choose what kind of vintage distortion, where you want valve or so on. And all these are modifiable and mappable to things like mod controls, chaos, the mod wheel, but not any of the oscillator type levels, and mod processors as well. So that's the, so I would just stick with highlight that one. Okay, so let's have a look at the next section, which is the mod effects. There's quite a few on here to choose from. So if I start off with the chorus, you can see how many choruses we've got on there. But let me go on to some of the individual ones. So let's choose, let's go with the black chorus flanger first. So this is another pedal type one. So it's mono in, stereo out. So you get a nice stereo effect out, but if you've made your oscillators stereo, I think it will sum them and then apply the stereo afterwards. But actually it does sound quite nice, and here's without it. Here's with it. It does give you that nice wide sound. And you can adjust the speed of it, and again you can map that one to any of the other controls. So I probably quite intense one. So it's quite a nice intense effects, that one. I like that one. And there will be some presets. Yeah, there you go. So we've just been listening to stereo chorus, but we could have mono chorus or mono or stereo flanger. I quite like that. That's giving a very old school kind of sound to it. And then we've got the black phase. So this is another pedal, classic sort of phaser. Again, you could map that, and there are some obviously settings for those as well. There we go. Then we've got the CX3 vibrato chorus. So this is modelled after the Korg CX3 organ. It's really nice organ actually. Late 70s I think it came out. Sort of gigging musicians type organ. And here are some of the presets from there. And again, you can control these speed. Go to edit mode, you can see the different parameters on there. Another good vintage one, that one. Got EP chorus. So electric piano chorus, this would go better with an electric piano type sound. I'm going to keep with this sound so that you can hear what the effects do on the same sound rather than switching sounds. But it will go well with electric piano. And you've got someone there, we've got a fast one. Oh, a nice slow one. Got harmonic chorus. So this is stereo chorus that works on higher frequencies. And we've got some different presets on there. Some of these, just like that one, warms it up. You hear a bit of swoosh. Modern chorus is one I use quite often. This is stereo and it adds, modulates the delay time of the input. I always like that one because it gives you a nice stereo effect. Again, you've got presets on there. You've got the modern phaser. That's stereo phaser. So a nice modern sounding phaser. Again with some presets. Dart suitcase, that would go with the electric piano. Maybe I'll flick some electric pianos and show you those later. Then we've got the orange phaser, which is based on the pedals. There's two models of this. The second one is more realistic reproduction, but I think Korg kept the original one there in case you were using that with any of your presets. So that's the original one. Let's go to the Mark II. Very Genesis Tony Banks, because he used one of those pedals, I think. Or he certainly like to use a phaser with on his synth. Do like that one. And then we've got the Poly 6 ensemble. So this is modelled after the Korg Poly 6. It's a mono in stereo out effect. I always it sounds a little bit constrained mono wise on that. I know that's how it's supposed to be, but you can flick it into stereo and then you could widen it. But you could use a delay or something to widen it. So I could, for example, switch on. I think that sounds quite sort of mono, but if I put my filters into stereo mode, widen it like that. But let's just stick with what's it worth for now. And there's a couple of presets on there. We've got a small phase, which is sort of a 70s phaser. Sounds pretty good. And a talking modulator. So it's like the vowel effect. And you see on the edit, you've got some options around the carrier and quite an interesting one on there. Again, you can modulate that through the controls like the others. Vintage chorus is one that I use quite often. There's some different effects with this one. This is a mono to stereo one, and you've got the speed and depth control on that one. And got some stereo ones like this one. We've got a vintage flanger. And a vintage custom wah. That's with probably electric pianos as well, and the Vox wah, which is the Vox pedals. And finally, we've got a Rotary, which I really like. Especially as you've got that slowing down, speeding up effect as well. And if you go into the edit, you can see you've got some, in fact, if you go on the presets, you've got some fast and slow ones. I think I've set this one up to control by the pedal. So there you go, that's a really nice effect, and you can control these through the pedal, through the mod wheel, again, all just like the other one you could. So here's an EP from the DU8000. Let's listen to some of the different EP ones that I got on there as well. We could have had this one. So now let's look at the next bit, which is the delays. So I'll leave the compressor on, I'll leave the chorus on as well, and we'll flick over to the delay. So no delay on now. Put some delay on, and let's have a look which ones we've got first actually. So you see we've got a LCR display delay, so that is left, center, right. It's mono in, multi-tap delay, and gives you some nice effects and some nice presets on here. Maybe I shall choose a shorter tone just to give you a less sustained tone to give you an idea on this one. Okay, here's a lead sound. So there, let's go to LCR. So here you can see we've got all the different patterns. So here we've got one with a sort of time delay on it. Different time. We've got long, and then we've got pattern ones. Very Floydy. And you've got like these ones. That's a triple digital delay line. And some stereo imaging ones, which I mentioned earlier on. Now, on all of these as well, just like the others, you've got the full edit section, so you can individually alter the left, right, and center delay time. You can tempo sync them, or you can have these mapped ones like the time, and you can do some interesting stuff with that as well. If you go to, let's see if I map that to the Chaos pad. I'm just going to Well, let's play with it. So you can, because you're playing with the delay time there, and you can get some interesting effects of that, especially perhaps if I go more wet. Yeah, there you go. So we've got a multi-band mod delay. So it splits the audio into 4 bands, and each one's got its own delay. And I think you need to go into edit to really to see those. There we go. There's the delay time. So this one, the high frequency, you can have a long delay, and the low frequency have a short delay. Tempo sync it and so on. So there you can see you've got a lot of control over each band as well, tempo sync. So you can really control the dynamics of it like that. Reverse delay. Some nice presets on here, back and forth. This one I use a lot, the stereo cross delay. Again, you've got all the different presets with the different time settings on it. Here I created one that simulates the DW8000 delay, and this one particularly is very short. And any of these, like especially like this one, if you put the wet dry up a bit as well, you get feedback a bit. You get that kind of any colour like Pink Floyd sound, and I'm pretty sure I've actually created that. If not on here, I've done it on the mod way using the exact same. And then you've got tape echo, which is another great one as well. It includes the saturation model, but I think it sounds really nice on this. You can model the different heads, so we've got a single head or a 3 head. You can hear that as I change this the presets, which have got different timing on there. This is again where you can create some interesting effects if I just put it on with the mod control, mod knob. So that's the delays. Lots of options when you go into the edit mode. Similar here with the master. I'll turn the delay off. The master reverb. Nothing out at the moment. We've got multiple types. Let's go to the main reverb, and you can see we've got some of my favourites, like this cathedral one, which you can't hear it at all at the moment because you can choose, because the send is down to 0. So if I send, so it sends pre-fader or post-fader. And again, you can adjust the size of these. That cathedral one is just one of the presets. I can make it smaller or make it larger. If you go to edit there, you can see you've got a real set of options on there to control that. Let's go with something like the sort of live hall, or you could go for the drum ones. I'll find a drum sound in a moment, but we'll try it. You can hear that sort of gated effect on there. Of course, when you combine these all together, right, so I've got a drum kit there that I made, and that snare is on layer C. So there you go, you can hear that reverse reflection on there, just on that one layer. Let's try some other ones. So it's got nice control over it like that. Right, and the final section is the master EQ, which you can do graphically like this, or you can just set the levels like that. Now that would be nice to modify with an LFO, but you can't do that because it's at the performance level, so you get less options. But you could certainly put that with the Chaos pad, and maybe so listen. Maybe that, say that gain, I can put that on the Y. And so on. I must admit, I don't tend to use that master EQ very often. Occasionally, every now and again, I find a sound that I just need to tweak a bit. I don't really control it that much. So that is the different effects sections. If you go into the edit, there's a lot more detail than I really went into them, but we're already running quite long on this video, so I'm not going to go into too much. If you've got any specific questions, please let me know and I'll cover it. And maybe if you want a long video on, or if you want a video just talking about the delay or the flanger or whatever it is, please let me know and I'll do the video. Thanks for watching this video. Please like and subscribe. Check out our newsletter as well, and I'll see you on the next one.